It's a tall order for some players, but of course, those who have reached the top tables and have eventually potentially gotten themselves onto the main stage here have a great opportunity. We did see some big names that are sitting at the top. Tord Reklev, one to mention, at 6-0. John Eng as well. I believe Henry Brand is also in that position. So definitely going to be quite a day two here.
Yeah, absolutely. We have all these really already accomplished players trying to add to their curriculum. It's going to be very interesting. And as we've mentioned, sitting at 6-0, it's very unlikely. Like, even if you lose the next two, you still have the option to ID the last one. And usually players who are 6 wins and 2 losses, they're more eager to play day two, right? Rather than position themselves in the best spot possible. So,
right.
I mean, you're here, probably in a different country or even in a different region than where you usually live, even if you're Brazilian. So why not have an extra, guaranteed extra day of competition, Pokemon, and making new friends?
Yeah, I didn't drive or fly all this way to sit around on Saturday. I'm here to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely been in that situation. And as we've mentioned before, there's the dilemma between championship points and having a chance, but the very fact that if you're not playing your day two, you definitely can't win the event, right? And I myself have won regionals going into day two with 19 points. So even though it is the hardest path to victory, it's not impossible.
Yeah, that is that's a tall order, and we have seen players, of course, as yourself, that are able to accomplish that. We saw Tord Reklev do that recently, I believe, at one of these tournaments. Ended up doing the 5-0-1 or whatever it was to lock up, and it's so impressive every single time. It's so much to ask of yourself as a player, you with your deck as well, and if you can get it done, it really solidifies yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we do have the players on stream now, so it'll be interesting to see what they're playing, or rather finally reveal what they're playing.
Yeah, it looks like both players have their headsets on, so we can go ahead and start looking towards this matchup here. And it will be Willam Azevedo playing this Palkia V-Star deck, Origin Form Palkia, and it's got a new friend, the old friend Inteleon, of course, but Articuno is going to find its way into the deck with Wild Freeze to potentially paralyze some Pokemon. Obviously, great for Lugia. I don't think we're going to be seeing Lugia on the other side, however, as Adam Hawkins, a very well-known rogue player, let's say that, is going to be on this Lost Box variant featuring Rayquaza.
Indeed. Now, Rayquaza, we were talking about it earlier, can do unlimited damage, the amazing rare one, and it is very threatening to all the rule box Pokemon out there, and it's no surprise that Adam is playing this deck. He's been known for a while now to play like these unorthodox, unexpected decks, and he got really recognized for playing Aggron VMAX at Worlds and getting top 16 with it. Like if you read Aggron VMAX or even Aggron V, immediately you see those 5 energy costs and you immediately disregard it, but he managed to make it work.
It's unbelievable. And I believe Adam is also the proud owner of a 9-0-0 at the North American International Championships one year with the Malamar Shining Lugia deck.
Yeah.
So very cool to see. Once again, another special era of legendary Pokemon coming down, and the Rayquaza is certainly I guess a bit of homage.
Indeed. Now, we just saw the prizes being placed, and we did see the Articuno and a Rayquaza being prized, so both players still have an extra copy of those specific cards, but we'll have to see if that ends up affecting the game in some way.
Yes, this will be very exciting. As we mentioned earlier on, both players 5-0-1, so this match is crucial to locking up 19 match points. We see the fist bump go down, and oh boy, let's read some cards.
Yeah, Willam immediately reading the Articuno, so we're going to be able to feature it and its attack with the auto paralysis. Now, Palkia isn't known for playing specifically switch cards, but they do play cross switchers, so that will be one way that Willam can target down the right Pokemon to paralyze.
Yeah, it looks like William does start off the game here with that opening energy on the Articuno. Pretty slow start with just the Sobble bench, and Adam is now going to start to work his way towards just a nice general setup. This Fog Crystal is an incredible card to include in your deck. Not only do you have the Psychic energy to be able to search out these energies when you need the specific typings, but just finding the basic Psychic can be all you need when you're playing these 4 Comfies.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Adam Hawkins' deck list, he's basically breaking every rule that they tell you not to do, right? He's playing 11 total basic energy, 5 different types, and you need to when you're playing these amazing rare Pokemon because they do have some pretty amazing energy costs.
Yes, it is a lot to ask. You need 3 different types if you're going to attack with that amazing Rayquaza, and it's all over the place because you're probably going to want a couple extras if you want Amazing Burst to deal a huge knockout if you need to go past 240 damage. So we do see the inclusion of the Psychic energy as well as the Water energy.
Right, and those Psychic energies and Water energies can be utilized for Amazing Burst because you don't have to discard a specific type, and that also allows you to use Radiant Greninja's attack or Sableye attack, which go obviously really well with the whole Lost Zone deck.
Wow, what a start here for Adam. Not only has the escape rope to get the Comfey into the active spot, but has the Battle VIP pass, going to grab an additional Comfey. And I believe that is the Cramorant for a potential spit innocently on this lone Sobble. Could you imagine?
I will say there's nothing innocent about Cramorant spit, so every time they do it, it's usually taking a prize card, so we'll have to see if Adam can get those 4 cards in the Lost Zone to be able to use the attack for free, and given how confidently and how quickly he's playing, I'm guessing he does.
Yeah, this is looking like quite the turn. Of course, you mentioned all of the different energies, and when they do hit the Lost Zone like that, you start to worry a little bit, but I have faith that Adam will manage resources appropriately, given the 5-0-1 record here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean, he's also prepping for those situations. He does play 3 Ordinary Rods, so that's a potential 6 energies recovered, along with the 11 he already plays, so he should be able to do that and take any knockout that he needs on Palkia and really not be affected by Articuno's paralysis thanks to the escape ropes, the switch cards, and the scoop up nets.
Well, I was worried that we weren't going to see a Palkia, but there is the Origin Form Palkia V hitting the bench, I believe. And yes, the Sobble is down, and that certainly is an issue here because this deck loves to get a lot of these Pokemon down and get the Drizziles so that you can continue to draw with all of these items. And when you can't find them, that's going to be such a problem.
Yeah, I mean, Sobble and Drizzle and Inteleon are amazing cards to have, but you need to have them in play. You need to have those Sobbles available to you so that you can evolve and search for whatever you need. But William's start was a little bit on the slower side, no Battle VIP pass. Now, the ones he has in his deck are no longer available to be utilized, and he doesn't have something like Colress or Comfey to send them to the Lost Zone. So getting a full bench with Palkia if you don't start a Battle VIP pass usually feels very complicated, honestly.
Yep, at least the Irida is there, the Capacious Bucket is coming down, and that is going to find the Sobble. So that is one way to help resolve the issue that we saw there in the opening turn. It's unfortunate when you lose your main engine, but the Sobble is coming back down now, and there are some energies, but is this really how you want to go about things? Retreating and going to the Keep Calling when you've already lost a Sobble, it doesn't feel great, but I guess you got to get these Pokemon down.
Yeah, I mean, William's Palkia is pretty safe at this point, although seeing those lightning energies might have him a little nervous. I don't know, or we don't know how much information William has on Adam's deck, but I figure a Rayquaza deck being 501 probably calls attention, right, to itself, so I'm sure he's at least heard about it.
Yeah, this is certainly a card that you need to be wary of.
Now, with all the Sobble set up, William will be able to get further into his game plan. I reckon that includes using Radiant Greninja at some point, so Adam will want to prepare for that with the Manaphy if he does have access to it. However, being 2 prices down against a single price deck is never a situation you want to be in.
Well, we do see this Colress experiment is going to start to add some additional cards into the Lost Zone here. And this can be very beneficial as you're building up towards the Mirage Gate. And we do see that as one of the potential choices, I believe.
Yeah, Adam will be getting to that 7-card count pretty quickly in the Lost Zone, and that will allow him to threaten with anything with the Mirage Gate. And he also plays a copy of Raikou V, Raikou and Lumineon being the only V Pokemon that he does play. And even though Raikou is probably there to counter Lugia, it just so happens to counter Palkia as well.
Yeah, it's great to have a built-in answer accidentally, perhaps. It's obviously Adam understands that Palkia could be a threat, but it's not the main card that you're targeting anymore, and it's nice to have that opportunity. And we do see these 7 cards in the Lost Zone. That is going to activate the Mirage Gate, and Adam now can start to focus on maybe that Radiant Greninja as an attacker.
Yeah, absolutely. Radiant Greninja, a very threatening Pokemon. William not able to find his mana feed to protect from that. So Adam has it all, right? It's the best of both worlds. He can either threaten the bench with Radiant Greninja by playing those extra water energies, or he can threaten whatever rule box big HP Pokemon your opponent has by utilizing amazing rare Rayquaza.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal opener here for Adam. Really just able to pick apart the prize cards as he sees fit, and it's exactly what you're looking for from a Lost Zone deck, and we haven't even gotten to see the cool cards, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you told me Adam was playing a Giratina deck at this point, if I didn't check to see what energies he's used up already,
Right.
You would believe that, right? So
Yeah.
It's really, really amazing to see how these Lost Box decks can really function and adapt to different situations. They're able to really manage their resources and counteract whatever threat your opponent throws at them.
Yep, we are going to see the concealed cards very quickly before going into the Moonlight Shuriken. Adam just making sure to look at as many cards as possible, continue to burn through the deck, and sure enough, Moonlight Shuriken going to take 2 big knockouts, 3 Sobbles down, and that is a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Radiant Greninja, which could have potentially helped William, isn't even in play. Adam preparing for that play with the Manaphy now. So I'm not so sure what William can do in this spot. I mean, obviously, Palkia V-Star has a lot of HP, and he might suspect that Adam has a Lightning-type attacker, as I believe we have seen a Lightning card, a Lightning energy hit either the discard pile or the Lost Zone. But you have to wonder, what's William's plan? And honestly, it could be Roxanne and Prey, just like it was for Anthony.
Yeah, this is tough. You see the Drizzile is finally going to come down now, and really there isn't much else that you can target other than the Roxanne at this point. You need a lot to go right, and at least if you can get this supporter down for the turn and maybe get some disruption, removing the Radiant Greninja would be ideal as well, and you just have to hope that the Comfies don't start to find the right cards to put together a Raikou V.
Exactly. As you mentioned, like even if the Radiant Greninja does go down, it will slow down Adam a little bit. But with double Comfies in play and all the switching cards that Adam does play and all the cards he's gone through already, even a Roxanne will slow him down a little bit because he has less card access, but the Comfies really build up your hand pretty quickly, and he's also 3 prizes ahead. And William can at most take 1 prize right now. So even if Adam was load 1, 2, or even 3 turns, he would still be in the lead.
Yeah, there's plenty of time right now, and with the Comfy engine, you have to expect that maybe some cards would be able to help out off the top. Energy to retreat, any switching effect, any scoop up net, all of those are so beneficial here, and it really, any of those cards lead to a Cramorant getting relevant damage down onto an Orchard Form Palkia V-Star.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the course of 3 turns, Comfey would be able to build up your hand pretty big, and I feel like if you're Adam, you can confidently assume that there's only 1 copy of Roxanne in Williams' deck, as historically, since Palkia got released, they've only played 1 copy and barely any ways to recover them. So I think if you see the Roxanne now, it sucks, but you're also happy that it's out of the way, because then you know your hand's gonna stick for the rest of the game, basically.
Right. You can fade the opportunity to be locked down at this point, because you have so many resources still available on your board, and you have plenty of time because of all of the knockouts that happened early on in the game.
Now, Willam is staying in this game, yeah, despite having this big disadvantage already, despite the awkward slow start. So he must have a plan, you know, there must be something he's planning, there must be something in the back of his mind as a route to winning, because he's so experienced, he's been playing for so long, he's been at the top of the pack in Brazil for a very long time, that he knows how important time management is, and therefore he probably has a plan that could lead to the win.
Yeah, we see the Star Portal was used, got the energy onto the Drizzile, so maybe Inteleon as an attacker at some point would be used. This is not exactly ideal, but Adam is going to try to apply some pressure of his own now after this Roxanne, and looks like the Grass Energy is going to hit the Lost Zone from the Comfey.
I will say that's the third energy in the Lost Zone, I believe, so as time does go on and more energies hit the Lost Zone, it could be a little complicated to take down this Palkia. And with no access to Raikou yet and Cramorant only dealing 110 damage, that is a 3-hit KO on Palkia if he were to do that. And even Sableye is not going to be super great here against the Palkia. So maybe this is the path that Willam is going for.
Yeah, I'm considering the Sableye at this point, just being able to remove the Drizzile from play and then just use these 5 turns that your opponent's taking 1 prize attacks to maybe find your lightning attacker and clean up this Palkia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Adam, as long as he's able to continue the pressure, he's going to be okay. And we did see that he kept that psychic energy from this flower selecting, where the air balloon is usually always a very, very nice card to have.
Wow, looky there. It's the Raihan coming down, and that is such a impactful card. Going to be able to accelerate an energy from the discard pile and grab any card from the deck. You have to think that whatever combination Adam needs right now surely should be at his disposal.
Yeah, absolutely. Raihan does have that really powerful effect, allows you to make comebacks in such situations or really set yourself up. And there we go. He does search for a Sableye, and Willam immediately scoops.
Yep. Completely understandable in that situation. It was going to be so hard to make a comeback when you don't have those support pieces. It was one Palkia against the world, and the world won.
Yeah, it was Palkia and Articuno. Articuno was not doing anything other than sit pretty on the bench. And yeah, one Palkia, when you're that far behind, is not going to take you all the way to the finish line.
Well, that was certainly a different match than we were used to seeing so far at this stage. We've seen a lot of Mew, a lot of Lugia. It's been pretty cool to see both of these decks taking on a different iteration and finding new life with some new tech cards. And of course, Articuno likely going to be shining a little less than the Rayquaza or the Raikou V, but still cool nonetheless to see this on the big stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we were mentioning earlier, like if you're playing a Lightning Pokemon right now, it's to counter Lugia, right? It just so happens to also counter Palkia. So I'm generally very surprised that Willam chose this deck. He must have been relying quite a bit on Articuno, and it's clearly done well for him. So because we do know Lugia is the most popular deck, so he must be taking advantage of the fact that Lugia decks play 0 switching cards.
Yeah, that is definitely what that is about. Just having the opportunity to buy a free turn against these Lugia decks. It's so great. You have to think maybe if you have the path that John Ang had, then it's a little bit different, finding 5 of these Lugia players. And maybe that has been the case for most of this tournament, but certainly not this round.
Yeah, we are seeing some talking with the judge, some explaining, and we'll get this game to started right now. I'm guessing Willam will be choosing to go first, and he will try to start that prize trade initiative, threaten with Radiant Greninja, and try to prevent Adam from getting those big attacks with Amazing Rare Rayquaza.
Yeah, absolutely. The Radiant Greninja, if it can perform early, is so impactful. Adam does have the 1 mana fee, but if he's not able to find that early on, then maybe you do take a double Comfey knockout or something of that sort. Really start to limit the amount of search that Adam has.
Yeah, now we do see Articuno hiding in the prices once again, which is honestly a good price
Yes,
for William.
there.
It's not very useful in this match. One Cramorant being priced for Adam could be impactful in case he doesn't get like the best possible start. But we do see that William let Adam go first, and he just slams the Battle VIP pass.
That is a very nice card to see, and sure enough, that is going to lead to another amazing start. You would think the Sableye not exactly ideal here, but you know these decks. With the Lost Zone decks, you can always find plenty of these switching effects, and I expect to see this Comfey starting to select flowers soon.
Yeah, exactly. Adam does play 9 different ways to get that Comfey into the active spot, and that's what he really wants to do. There's no chance for a dunk here because he is going first, so he's not able to attack. But starting to get cards into the Lost Zone means you're getting closer to the Cramorant being to use its attack, and you're also getting closer to activating Mirage Gate, which with a Palkia now in the active spot, we're probably going to see either Raikou or Rayquaza come into play and take that KO.
Very cool to see this deck at work. There's so many opportunities to continue to burn through and find additional resources. Just taking a look at the list, you can see 3 Raihan. It's so interesting. It's not a card that we've seen used too often in this new meta, I suppose, and it's really finding a great opportunity here to get just the right piece of the combo at the right time, and that energy acceleration often can be the difference.
Absolutely. And now the Flower Selectings have actually not been very kind to Adam so far. That's 1 Lightning Energy, meaning there's only 1 left for both Rayquaza or Raikou. There's 1 Mirage Gate, which the deck definitely relies on all 4 of them. And we also have Ordinary Rod. So those are 3 very valuable resources that Adam no longer has access to.
Yeah, that's not great. We do see at least that 3 cards are in the Lost Zone, so that makes you think that maybe a card like Rayquaza could be charged up on the next turn if perhaps a Colress's Experiment were to be found. It's not too far-fetched, but William now has a long road to travel, as just this Palkia V is sitting in the active spot, and is going to find a couple water energies to start here with the Capacious Bucket.
Yeah, now, if William didn't know that he was up against a Rayquaza deck, he definitely knows now. There's a Rayquaza right there, and he must be thinking, okay, there's that thread, it's already getting powered up, there's already 3 cards in the Lost Zone, so 1 Colress plus a couple of Comfeys is not out of the question at all. But we do see William with the Battle VIP pass as well in his hand, so he'll definitely get a more impactful game going, and hopefully we'll be able to see what his strategy is against these sort of decks.
Yeah, well, this is also where you mentioned that the switching cards for this deck is something that's a problem. Having this Pokemon stuck in the active spot right now, if you don't have the cross switchers to move this Pokemon, and you don't really want to do cross switching on the opening turn, there's a decent opportunity that this Rayquaza just takes a big knockout on the turn 2.
Yeah, especially given how strong Adam's turn was. Despite the fact that he did lose quite a few very crucial resources, he still has plenty of things available to be able to take this knockout on the Palkia. So you have to be thinking that William is definitely considering how likely that is, because the Rayquaza is already there with an energy attached. It only needs 1 Mirage Gate for it to happen, and he doesn't have another Palkia in play.
William is going to use that Radiant Greninja using the concealed cards. We do see the Sobble in hand and another Palkia, so that's beneficial, certainly, to get some additional Pokemon. Ooh, we do see a card like that Manaphy. It's a nice placement onto the bench.
Yeah, that Melanie from William was as good as it gets, right? He got the second Palkia from the concealed cards, and therefore, even though the Rayquaza is threatening, he now has, at the very least, 1 guaranteed answer. And with no Manaphy on Adam Hawkins' bench, then the Radiant Greninja is also a threat. So William definitely much better positioned than in the previous game at this point.
William just going to rescue that Articuno from the prize cards with the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Don't know if we'll exactly see it played down, but it's, I guess it's nice to know where your Pokemon are.
Yeah, we do see Temple of Sinnoh getting played, which is completely irrelevant as both players only play basic energies. And it's a pretty good card to get rid of right now, because if your opponent's going to end up playing Marnie at some point or Roxanne, then you definitely don't want that card cycling through the deck back and forth.
Well, here is the moment of truth. Adam does have the Colress's Experiment. That is going to get the Lost Zone up to 5 cards. We do see Comfey in the active spot. Another Comfey following with an Air Balloon. So really just one switching effect, and Mirage Gate will be live.
Ooh, sending 1 Colress and 1 Luminion to the Lost Zone. That means there's only 1 Colress Experiment. No, there's still 2 Colress Experiment left for Adam, but that's definitely... I have to wonder or imagine that the other 3 cards were basically basic energies or the other Rayquaza or something like so crucial that he couldn't afford. Maybe even the extra copy of Colress, but those 2 cards are definitely very surprising to see get into the Lost Zone.
Yeah, when you're William on the other side, you're like, yay! Oh wait, that means they took good cards too.
Yeah, if they're not taking those cards for their hand, you have to really wonder what the other 3 cards were. But yeah, Adam is now very close to activating the Mirage Gate and very close to getting that turn to KO with amazing Rayquaza. Now we do see the Scoop Up Net that will put the 7th card into Lost Zone with the free retreat from the Comfey. So we are 1 Mirage Gate away from seeing that KO.
Yep, this is a crucial turn here for Adam, and the Mirage Gate is going to come down. It's very nice to see that the Rayquaza has an opportunity here now to make a huge impact. There goes the interesting energy typing there of the grass and the lightning to round off the amazing burst with the fighting energy already in play.
Yeah, so Rayquaza already about to take the KO. We did see that lightning energy hit the Lost Zone very early on, but the other one was available. And we're also seeing Sableye start threatening Williams, Sobbles, and even the Manaphy if it doesn't evolve. So
yeah, really impressive here from Adam. We do see the math just lining up pretty well here. Going to amazing burst. All basic energies are gone. 3 times 80, 240. Big knockout here.
Yeah, and with the other fighting energy and the other grass energy prize, the chances of Adam pulling this off were actually not that great, because if he had any of those energies in his deck, it would have been a little more complicated. I mean, in his hand, it would have been a little more complicated to pull this off, but thankfully it all worked out and we saw the amazing burst. So now it's on William to see what his response. The one thing missing from Adam's bench is that Manaphy, so we could see Radiant Greninja be able to compensate for that, and there's the promotion.
Yep, the Sobble is already down. That could potentially help look through the deck. We also see the Palkia V, and that's probably the most important piece that's missing right here, being able to accelerate some energies from the discard pile by way of Star Portal would be phenomenal. And I think this is a great start to lining up one of these big turns.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sableye is not a great response to Radiant Greninja because it can't KO it. Cramorant definitely isn't. And if William is able to limit his bench to that only Sobble, maybe evolving into Drizzle just now as we saw him search for it, then Adam will not be able to have that super impactful turn. And William could actually commit to attaching all 3 energies from the ability to Radiant Greninja and attaching an energy for turn to tell Adam, hey, if you're not going to find Manaphy, if you don't find Manaphy next turn, you're going to be in so much trouble.
Yeah, the forbidden 4th energy is a play that we have seen some Palkia players make, and it's almost a call out saying, I don't think you have it, and if you don't respect this, then certainly you're going to be in a lot of danger. And that is a great way to start to get back into the prize race here, as Radiant Greninja could potentially be taking 2 prize cards this turn.
Yeah, this play is also like even stronger because there's a Rayquaza up front, right? And that's not super easy to retreat. Some switching cards have been utilized, and you have to expect William will take down both Comfeys because that limits Adam's potential to get more resources into his hand next turn. So with the Rayquaza in the active, nothing to switch back into, then it could be a little complicated for Adam to do much of anything next turn. However, there is merit to knocking out the Sableye as well, because that is the most threatening Pokemon, and that would make it harder for Adam to retaliate with a knockout on either the Drizzle, limiting your Inteleon, or even the Manaphy.
Yeah, this is really going to be telling of what William's strategy is at this point. Do you worry about the getting these additional resources? Then maybe you target down the Comphase. Are you scared of the additional damage that the Sableye brings? And leaving this Rayquaza feels like a pretty solid spot, but even then, we've seen Raihan be so impactful, and maybe there is a route where this just challenges the Radiant Greninja soon.
All right, so with Willam committing the Sobble to the bench, I have to expect that he's going to target down the Air Balloon, Comfey, and the Sableye. Now we have to see. He's hesitating with the attachment. He doesn't fully commit to Greninja.
It is scary.
Yeah, it is definitely. Expects Adam to be able to bench the Manaphy next turn. And he does indeed knock out the Air Balloon Comfey and the Psychic attached Sableye.
Yep, I think this is a pretty fair split. You leave your opponent in an awkward spot with the Rayquaza in the active spot, and certainly removing an awkward threat in that Sableye, and of course that Air Balloon is just something that you don't want to let stick around. It's a way that Adam draws multitudes of cards time and time again with every knockout, can just keep promoting that Pokemon.
Yeah, now we do see the switch card immediately. That means Rayquaza is now on the bench. Adam is able to pick some flowers and probably attack again with Cramorant. I don't think you want to invest the resources it takes to attack with Rayquaza again onto this Greninja, and that's what puts Adam in a very awkward spot, because he also doesn't play Galarian Zigzagoon in his list, so there's no way for Adam to take a knockout with Cramorant. So it's either Rayquaza or bust, but investing another Mirage Gate and another energy, which we know one of those is prized, one of the required ones, so Ordinary Rod also needed, so it's a little tricky here for Adam despite being in the lead. I think this is a turn where he might not be able to continue that pressure.
Yeah, that certainly seems possible, especially just seeing the Colress's experiment coming down. That means that you're not going to see the Raihan on this turn, and yeah, the Lost Zone is certainly building up, and 10 can be relevant, but we did see that Sableye fall. Is there another way to get this Pokemon back out? We do see an Ordinary Rod, but don't know if the resources are there to find another decent attacker.
Yeah, we do see Adam holding a really big hand, because Willam has not played any disruption so far, but it seems like not all those cards are super useful. We do see the Ordinary Rod though, so perhaps Adam will be able to pull off the Sableye play right here.
Of course, targeting down that Psychic Energy, want to have an opportunity to attack with the Sableye if you can find the right cards. And then just trying to make sure that you have the right basic energies to get some good attacks off. The Lightning Energy is crucial, as that opens up avenues for the Raikou potentially to take a big knockout on a card like that Palkia V-Star.
Yeah, and that Raikou is something that Adam has not revealed yet. I mean, you have to expect some sort of lightning type attacker if you see the lightning energies, even though you need them for Rayquaza. It just it makes sense to play another lightning type attacker with Lugia being so prominent. So, and there's no playing around from it with William's current setup. His bench is completely full. Even after a Pokemon gets knocked out, Raikou hits so much damage that no Palkia V-Star will be able to survive that hit.
Well, looks like Adam is going to just have to use this Cramorant right now. Spit innocently, going to deal 110 damage onto the Radiant Greninja. Maybe setting up for Sableye down the road. We did see those cards shuffled back in.
Indeed, and we did not see the Manaphy by Adam, but there's also no two Pokemon that could have been targets, right? So even though we know William cannot power up that Radiant Greninja again, I think scoop up netting it back into hand is the most viable play to essentially make it so that Adam lost a turn. It would have been still useless because Adam managed his bench pretty well.
Well, we'll see what William is able to come up with here. The Irida is going to start things off. Radiant Greninja not going to be terribly relevant anymore. No real way to accelerate energies onto this Pokemon. Melanie is the only real card that can do that, and that's going to be focused on the V Pokemon, of course. So probably going to see that Pokemon retreat or be netted in the future. And that just leads into an interesting call here for William now. Do you just have to commit to the Palkias? Because it's not exactly the opportune turn, because you're at a 4-4 prize exchange. And if you start attacking with V-Stars, that's not really what you want to do.
Absolutely, and whenever a Palkia deck has already utilized their V-Star ability, energy management becomes incredibly crucial. I feel like a lot of players end up using concealed cards a little too much. We all love getting extra cards in our hand, but you can't just use the ability because you have the energy. So energy management right here for Willam will be very important, and that makes Radiant Greninja even less relevant, right? Because even though you do get extra cards, you really cannot afford to miss an energy attachment at this point if you're William.
We do see that Inteleon come down. Shady Dealian's looking to target some of these items from the deck that might be able to help out. Cross Switcher, always a nice card to see, and maybe we start to see some energies going onto this Inteleon at some point. You could incorporate that into the prize exchange and maybe work in that 7 prize game.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think we're going to see that Inteleon powered up. If you're William right now, you want to force Adam to go through another Palkia and then Inteleon and then a final Palkia, if possible, especially combining with a Roxanne. So it does seem like William is in the driver's seat right now, especially with Adam's underwhelming turn previously. And we do see William recognizing that Comfey, even though it's not a threat that can take prizes, it is the most viable Pokemon that Adam currently has in order to be able to find more resources and get more attacks going.
Speaking of resources, William going to be using that scoop up net, picking up the Inteleon and playing back down the Drizzile, looking for maybe one more additional piece here to sure up this turn. Of course, the knockout is going to be happening, but we do see that Roxanne's going to be added into the hand.
Yeah, it can't be played just yet. And very interesting decision to not scoop up net that Radiant Greninja. That does allow Adam to, if he's able to find the Sableye and the Psychic Energy, he can take a 2-prize turn. So I'm not sure if that's an ideal situation. But there are certain points where you just have to say, okay, well, that would be the ideal, but I really can't afford it. I need access to the Inteleon next turn, so I just have to take that risk and play to win, right? Maybe playing too defensively and preventing that Radiant Greninja from getting knocked out just doesn't allow William to fully execute his plan to win.
Yeah, you can see 2 different avenues that could be taken here. You could, of course, use the Sableye and try to target down that Radiant Greninja in combination with the Drizzile or something of that sort. Take those 2 prize cards, or you can just go directly into this Palkia V-Star and leave some damage on the bench and have multiple avenues on the following turn. And I think this is a really strong read here from Adam, understanding that this is a great point to put some pressure on your opponent. They've been struggling to find the energies, and maybe they won't have that last energy to deal some damage. And even if they are attacking with a Inteleon, that's not going to knock out a Raikou.
Yeah, absolutely. And therefore, William needs a response to his Raikou. It has to be through Melanie plus attached to the Palkia. That means Adam will not get his hand disrupted through Roxanne, so really setting himself up for success, basically. And now there's a Sableye in play as well, so Adam has multiple paths to win. He can either recycle the Raikou and threaten another KO on the Palkia. He can also power up the Sableye and threaten the Greninja that remain in play, and either the Sobble or the Drizzile or the Manaphy for 2 prize cards. And he could even power up Rayquaza again. So a lot of things going right for Adam. What seemed to be an underwhelming previous turn has now turned all of a sudden into a very strong presence on the board.
Can't forget the fleet-footed, sneak that in there, grab an extra card, and well-deserved extra card this turn as well. Taking a huge knockout here on the Origin Form Palkia V-Star, and you can see that the writing's almost on the wall at this point. The energy onto the Sableye was very impactful. It really does speak wonders to playing around everything that could happen this turn. The Melanie is going to be crucial, but of course, the Roxanne is something that could have played in down too, and it's going to be really hard to remove all of these threats at once, you'd think.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're William, I think you would have even preferred for Sableye to be in the active and take 2 prizes, because then you still would have been able to take a return KO through Inteleon and play the Roxanne. But at this point, William has to make a decision whether power up the Palkia, take a KO, and risk losing the game, or attack with something else but not take a prize card, and therefore he's not really getting anywhere close to winning the game at this point.
Yep, worried now for William if the cross switchers are available. That could be an avenue to finding a win here, or at least staying in the game. You could get that Inteleon down, and then cross switcher, bring up that Sableye, use that Roxanne, and maybe then next turn you find that Melanie for the Palkia V-Star to close out on a card like that Raikou.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that would make that play even stronger is the fact that we did see Adam's prizes, and the boss's orders is still prized. That means, I mean, William wouldn't necessarily know that, but Adam only plays one. That means there's no way for Adam to bring up the Palkia to close out the game. So that could be a really good path for William to take. It might be the only option he has, and we do see him eyeing up those cross switchers at the front of his deck.
Just wanting to make sure that everything lines up perfectly here in the last potentially remaining turn of this game, as William is down 1-0 currently in this match, and this is pretty important points that are on the line. So trying to lock up at least one more point, and if 3 were available, that'd be fantastic too.
Yeah, time is definitely on the lower end right now of the spectrum, so if William is able to close out this game, then both of these decks do take a while to get going. Well, not necessarily get going, but with Adam playing mostly single prizers and not dishing out like incredible damage or not up against a 3-prize Pokemon, games do take a little bit longer. So we might be seeing, is this our first die on stream, I think, today?
Potentially. It certainly could be, and I guess we've been very fortunate so far on stream to have a lot of winners, but this is a great strategy from William, trying to stay in this game here, using the Raihan to get the energy accelerated onto the Origin form Palkia V-Star, and if there's a way to scoop up this Radiant Greninja, then maybe there's just not enough that this Sableye could do to retaliate. I suppose even the cross switchers would be able to remove that, but then you're just going to be in trouble with this Raikou, so where do you go?
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that William had to use the right hand to power up the Palkia, I mean, we do see the Scoop Up Net in hand, though, so he will be able to remove the Manaphy or the Greninja or the well, it has to be the Greninja, rather, from play, so that Sableye is no longer a win condition. The Palkia, I mean, the Raikou will be getting knocked out, but you definitely really wanted to take a knockout with Palkia, combining it with Roxanne, or playing Roxanne in some form this turn. So the fact that that couldn't happen does still leave Adam in a very good spot.
Yes, we do know that there are opportunities for Adam to extend and take big knockouts in spots like this. We haven't exactly seen it yet. We've seen it, I suppose we've seen it in the earlier stages of a game, but this is where everything is online, and we're going to see what Adam has left. Going to promote that Sableye with the Psychic Energy. Doesn't have knockout on board anymore, and plenty of cards in the hand. So you can see Adam trying to map it out in his head.
Yeah, you can see how, like, that one decision that William did, attaching the energy for turn on the Inteleon instead of the Palkia, led to this. Yeah, led to Adam having access to so many cards. We do see the Rayquaza getting powered up. The energy is being put back into the deck along with the Raikou. And we do see a Quick Ball, presumably to Thin. So we're going to see the Mirage Gate and onto Raikou and game.
That is incredible. Finds all the pieces there to bring up the Raikou V, take a huge knockout on that Palkia V-Star, and although it was meant for Lugia, it certainly can do the job against Palkia.
Yeah, I would say it's better at doing the job against Palkia, because Palkia naturally needs a big bench to do big damage, whereas Lugia can potentially, like, sometimes there isn't even a Lugia in play. So Raikou, not the perfect counter. There's Dunsparce to counteract the lightning type attackers. But if you're up against Palkia, you're in a pretty heavy spot running that Raikou.
Yeah, that worked almost perfectly. I think if Adam knew that he was 501 going into this event and saw that he would find a Palkia, he'd be licking his chops.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, walking into this event, I don't think you would expect to play against Palkia. I mean, I know card access, of course, not everyone has all the cards to build every single deck, but Palkia definitely not well positioned for this event. Willam clearly doing something right, he's doing pretty well, and that's a testament to his skill. But in terms of the metagame, it's not very friendly because even Regis has a very good Palkia matchup usually.
Yeah, we did see the inclusion of that Articuno, and certainly we can see how that could potentially be beneficial in some of these matchups, but just not going to work out here on the big stage, and that means that Adam is going to continue on 6-0-1 at this point in the tournament, and that is exactly where you want to be. Locking up day 2 with a couple extra games to potentially add some match points.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm personally pretty happy to see Rayquaza make it to day 2. That means we might see it on stream again, and we might see more amazing bursts.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that the only time we'd see these amazing Pokemon perhaps was going to be with Lugia and friends, but here we are. It's found its way into the Lost Box.
Yeah, and like we mentioned before, these amazing cards, they weren't seeing a lot of play. I think even before Lugia started seeing play, we had seen Reshiram on stream, but outside of that one, we hadn't really seen any of the amazing rare Pokemon do anything. They were just sitting pretty on our binders, but now everyone wants to play them.
Yeah, it is cool to see all of these amazing cards make their way onto the big stage, and it really just opens up so many different avenues to finding victories. This is not something that we had upwards of a couple months ago, and it's